For the last 2 years, I've stopped using soap and I have no intention to going back. And to be clear, it's not that I don't use soap for my hands or in the kitchen and so forth. It's just when I'm bathing, I've decided to stop using soap. And that's because it started around a little more than 2 years ago, to be honest. Um, I was watching a video, totally unrelated, but it was with they had two emergency room nurses, and they sort of briefly mentioned how you actually don't need soap for bathing. That just rigorous scrubbing and hot water would remove most of your bacteria on your body, or the bad bacteria. And so I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. And I had already, for a couple of years, had been trying to live, more consciously, more intentionally, more in line with nature, how nature designed us, right? Uh, and I'm always trying to simplify my life in line with those type of values. And I said, okay, well, okay, that sounds interesting. I'd already heard about the microbiome on our skin. I was very aware of it in our mouth and our nose, and knew that there was this bacteria on our skin that was also very healthy, keeping our skin healthy and strong, because our skin is also an organ. And so I thought, okay, this seems reasonable. I know that soaps can dry our skin out. On top of it, I heard about, some of the worries around soap and how soaps are made with these, especially for these big companies with cheap chemicals, and that could potentially impact us. But even, more natural soaps, sometimes these natural ingredients have a negative impact on us in ways that we're not really fully aware of. And then their science is still sort of catching up on. So I thought maybe less is more in this situation. And so while I was a little nervous to try it at first, as you might suspect, I'm always one to try to experiment. I'm always saying, okay, like, let me try this for a day. Let me try this for 3 days or a week and see what happens. It's on, and in a world I can always go back. And I, started with a day or two, and now it's been over 2 years, and it's really been, I think, quite positive overall. Um, I think the key benefits I would say is, yeah, my skin feels shinier. I didn't have major skin issues, so I don't want to like overstate that it was like revolutionary for me. I think there's some folks online, if you check out other videos or Google stuff, I think you'll find that a lot of people will say that it's really changed their life. But that wasn't my case because my skin wasn't too bad. So, but I definitely noticed that my skin feels healthier, feels like stronger. It feels shinier. I think as well. I did have a bit of acne like before when I was using soap, and that basically completely is gone. I really don't have any issues that way as well. But that could also potentially be age. Um, I think the third benefit is like just less is more. These chemicals from soaps are, yeah, there's some real science showing that they can be pretty negatively impactful on our overall health. And even if you're using more natural soaps, like I said earlier, they may have an impact on you in ways we're not as familiar with. So less is definitely more. And lastly, you get to save a little bit of money. You're not buying soap as regularly. So I think those are some easy, quick benefits of using it. So if you are somebody with some skin issues, if you're somebody who are trying to live more in line with nature or live more intentionally, this is a potential thing to try out for a couple days. And so some tips around this. I would first off say, well, if you're going to start, just try to start for like a couple days. Just, maybe to see how it works for you. Does it bother you? Does it impact you? What do people say? Like, do they notice you smell or don't smell? And if you do smell, I think from what I understand around this bodily smell, it could be related to, first off, how you're eating, less about the soap. For if you think about it, humans weren't using soap for so long, and they were doing just fine. I think it's soap from potentially could be related to the use of soap could be potentially more related to just like changes in eating habits and lifestyle habits. So if you're eating unhealthy, if you're eating a lot of fast food, a lot of greasy food, a lot of processed food, this could be causing you to smell more. And so that may be something to consider if you are still smelling after going no soap. The second thing to consider is also your general lifestyle. Are you living an active lifestyle? Are you exercising on a regular basis? Are you, working out a bit to try to sweat and get those toxins out of your body? And so those are things that I'm doing. I live a pretty healthy lifestyle overall. I wouldn't say I'm perfect, but I definitely don't eat a lot of processed food, and I exercise pretty regularly. And I think that combination helps me not to smell at all. And it's not like I use a lot of deodorant. I actually don't use deodorant at all. I don't use any cologne. So, and on top of that, during this time of experimenting with no soap, I've had a few intimate partners, and no one said anything. And I'm a pretty social person. I have lots of friends, and none of my friends have ever said anything. So I'm pretty certain that there's no smell coming off of me, or generally speaking. So I think the benefits are pretty solid. It's not, like I said, it's not something that's been revolutionary for me, like meditation or using mouth tape, but it has definitely had a positive impact. And if you're somebody who, like I said, wants to live more intentionally, wants to live more in line with nature, it's a worthwhile experiment just for at least for a couple days or a week or so, and see how it feels for you. Hopefully this video has been helpful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment below. I'd be happy to answer your questions. I'm sure there are things you're wondering about. But if this video has been helpful, please consider giving it a like. And if you're trying to live more intentionally, more consciously, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you.